Welcome to Pub Sports Radio's Ian Cameron's Football Frenzy. It's Thursday, which means it's time for another edition of the show, Thursday, January 21st, our second to last Football Frenzy show of the season. Yeah, unfortunately, we only have this show, and we've got your Super Bowl preview show coming up in 2 weeks from now. There will be no Ian Cameron Football Frenzy show next Thursday because obviously it's going to be a week off. I'm not really that kind of sports bettor that gets involved in the Pro Bowl. I honestly couldn't care less about it. There's all kinds of other things that keep me dialed in and interested and time consuming with other sports going on right now, whether it's NHL, NBA, college basketball. I don't need to focus too much on the Pro Bowl, and most years I don't. So I won't have a show breaking down the Pro Bowl next week, but I will be back right here on Pub Sports Radio, Ian Cameron's Football Frenzy, in 2 weeks with a Super Bowl preview show. And we will really dive into that Super Bowl to every nth degree. We're going to look at the side. We're going to look at the total. And we're going to spend a great amount of that show in a couple of weeks breaking down the props as well. So it's going to be really, really heavily prop focused. We'll look at player props. We'll look at just overall game props, and you know what we get every year when it comes to the Super Bowl. It seems like there's more and more prop bets to make every year than there was the previous year. Upwards of 300, 400, even 500 props. I've seen full, complete prop sheets and prop lists from some of the Las Vegas sports books the last couple of years, and the selection and the variety and the different types and categories of props that you can bet now in the Super Bowl is really unbelievable. And it really gives you a great amount of opportunities when it comes to the Super Bowl. And I like that there's a lot of those prop opportunities because a lot of times it's tough to handicap the game from a side and total perspective. You're talking about two teams that, they're very good and they're very tough to bet against. That's why they're in the Super Bowl. So to be able to bet some props, I think, is pretty cool, especially having the extensive menu that you have for the Super Bowl. Now, a lot of sports books these days offer, player prop betting for the majority of NFL regular season games, way more than they used to. So it's not that, amazing, opportunity that it was before. But for the Super Bowl in particular, there's so many good prop selections. And of course, there's cross-sport props that you can bet as well. So definitely looking forward to the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks. And also that show, the Football Frenzy show, in 2 weeks. So that'll be on Thursday, February the 4th, 2 weeks from today. That'll be the Super Bowl preview edition of Ian Cameron's Football Frenzy. All right, let's get to it. Down to business. We've got Conference Championship Sunday on the horizon. I think these are two, just on paper, exciting, intriguing, fascinating matchups. Let's start with the NFC Championship, the first game on Conference Championship Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. Green Bay, a 3-point home favorite, although it's minus 125 in most spots. A couple of books have minus 3.5 on Green Bay. The total 51 to 51.5, depending on which book you look at here in this game. I was on Tampa Bay last week, and I was one of only a select few that were on the Bucs. I found there was a lot of people liking the New Orleans Saints last week. It was an up and down divisional weekend for me, but one of the parts of that weekend that made it an up weekend was backing Tampa Bay +3 against New Orleans, and they won that game outright against the Saints. Tom Brady and the Bucs offense was solid, but it was the play of the defense that really started to turn the game in the Bucs' favor, forcing turnovers. And that's something that you got to do in playoff games, is as much as you want your defense to just get off the field, get 3 and outs, force punts, to be able to take the ball away from the opponent and then be able to subsequently turn those forced turnovers into points. That ends up sometimes being the difference when it comes to the playoffs. And that's exactly what I think we saw last week with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They forced turnovers and they took advantage of them. A couple of interceptions of Drew Brees. They forced a fumble on the tight end, Jared Cook, who fumbled it around midfield. at a really key part of the game when it was still very close. And Tampa Bay pretty much with each of those turnovers capitalized with points and largely touchdowns in that game. The defense played well. The secondary played well. Give them credit, because to me, the Bucs have a pretty good defensive front. They're decent against the run. They can get a pass rush. Their linebacking play is pretty good. But their secondary all season, I think, has been picked on a little bit. I think that's probably safe to say, fair to say, and the stats would bear it out. It's probably the weak link on this Bucs team, Bucs defense, I should say, is the secondary. And they played very well against New Orleans. However, you contrast the matchup they had against Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints to what they will be facing Sunday against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. It's going to be a different type of passing game, let's be honest. And Drew Brees' limitations in the passing game pretty much came to fruition on Sunday. The limitations being he couldn't throw it deep. I mean, we were just waiting and waiting and waiting for Drew Brees to show that, he could throw a ball further than 10 or 15 yards in the game on Sunday against Tampa Bay. And he just didn't stretch the defense, stretch the secondary vertically at all in that football game. Hell, it was and I think it's very telling that there was concern from the Saints, from Sean Payton, the head coach, and from the offensive side of it, that Drew Brees was not going to be able to throw the deep ball in that game, because the trick play touchdown that they had to Traquan Smith, that was Jameis Winston they brought in to throw that football, not Drew Brees. So, to me, that tells you right there. And that was obviously the big passing play of the game for the New Orleans Saints. And it wasn't even Drew Brees in the game to throw that football. It was Jameis Winston. So that's the thing that I think is going to be the bigger challenge here for this Tampa Bay team. I think it's safe to say that last week they got to basically crowd the line of scrimmage. They knew Alvin Kamara was going to have to be someone they focused on. They knew that the passing game, especially as the game went on and the Bucs are realizing, hey, this guy's not throwing the ball further than 15, 20 yards down the field. We can crowd up to the line of scrimmage and really take away the short to intermediate stuff, jump routes because he's not throwing it deep, jump these little short to intermediate routes. That's exactly what happened on the first interception by Drew Brees. Murphy Bunting, he just read the play perfectly, diagnosed it in a pristine fashion, jumped the route, sat on one of these little shorter to intermediate routes, and picked off Drew Brees and returned it inside the 5-yard line to set up, I believe that was Tampa Bay's first touchdown last Sunday in that game. So that's what they realized that, Brees, I think with the long ball was compromised. Let's crowd up on the line of scrimmage. Let's take away these short to intermediate routes. Well, you're not going to be able to do that against Aaron Rodgers. You're just not. Aaron Rodgers throws as good a deep ball as anybody in the NFL. You saw the touchdown that he threw last week to put the game away against the LA Rams. That's going to be a challenge for Tampa Bay. They are now going to have to cover down the field for longer periods of time. And for earlier in the season, you could have said, well, you know what, Davante Adams and the rest of this Packers receiving core is nothing special. But you look at how Marquez Valdes-Scantling played down the stretch. You look at Alan Lazard in the game he had in the divisional round win against the Rams last week, and he stepped up. You look at the emergence of Robert Tonyan, as the tight end, who's been outstanding and a big-time weapon for Aaron Rodgers throwing the football. All of a sudden, this Green Bay team's got more than Davante Adams. Yeah, Davante Adams is the star. Yes, Davante Adams is the focal point, and he's targeted a lot by Aaron Rodgers, no doubt about that. But there's other weapons stepping up now for this Green Bay Packers team, and I don't think you can understate or undersell what Green Bay did last week. Look, I know they had the extra week rest. For LA, it was a tricky scheduling situation. You played in Seattle, and now you're going on the road again, play Green Bay, outdoors. It wasn't a cold day, but colder elements for a team that's not always used to playing in those kind of outdoor climates. Banged up Jared Goff with the thumb injury. Aaron Donald was not quite 100%, although he really gutted it out. So you have to take all of those factors into mind. But that was still one of the best defenses in the NFL this year, the LA Rams. And Aaron Rodgers and the Packers were just surgically picked it apart in that football game. It was as impressive an offensive game as they've had all year. He is playing with a massive amount of confidence right now, Rodgers. He's playing, I think, with a huge amount of "I'll show you" to the management of the Green Bay Packers. I truly believe, and I said this on Twitter, I truly believe Jordan Love, the draft pick of that quarterback from Utah State last year by this Green Bay team, that ticked him off. That really, he's not going to really admit it publicly, but it ticked him off that, you really think, I've only got a couple of good years left. Well, I'll show you. And boy, is he showing us. He's showing everybody so much that he might be putting together an MVP season. There's a very good chance Aaron Rodgers wins that award this year with the season he has had for the Green Bay Packers. And I think he's going to be a quarterback that can have some success once again here against Tampa Bay's defense, which did play better last week against the Saints. But again, I have to mention this, and it's so important to stress this. It is much easier to play pass coverage. It is much easier to play pass defense when you're facing a quarterback that's not throwing the ball more than 10 or 15 yards down the field. You can sit on everything. You can jump the short to intermediate routes, and it's just much easier to play defense at that point in time. And I think we saw that in that game for the Saints against the Bucs. It was just much easier for the Bucs defense to figure out where the Saints were going with the football. Not going to be as easy with Rodgers. He has these little wide receiver screens. He has the little dump off passes to Aaron Jones, the running back. He can throw it short to intermediate to Tunyon and his options over the middle. And then, of course, he has the perimeter threats, Valdez-Scantling and Devontae Adams. So basically now Tampa Bay goes from having to cover just a little part of the field in the passing game. They got to cover the whole field now on Sunday against the Packers. There's a couple other things that worry me about Tampa Bay. It's their third straight road game now for the Bucs. That's not easy. After two straight road wins in the wild card and the divisional round, teams after two road wins in the conference championship round, they're on a 5-12 ATS slide in their last 17, 5-13, I should say, ATS slide in their last 18 games. And for Green Bay, you talk about disappointments, how they've been to the wild card and divisional round and the conference championship round multiple times since Aaron Rodgers and the Packers won that Super Bowl that they did back in the Mike McCarthy era against Pittsburgh. They beat for that Super Bowl. They've had a lot of playoff disappointments since then. None of those games were Green Bay hosting the NFC Championship game, though. They always had to play on the road. They had to play the divisional games on the road. They had to play the conference championship game on the road. Finally, now, the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers have a home game in the NFC Championship. The table is set, essentially, for the Green Bay Packers for this game to get the job done. Let's flip it around now. Tom Brady, Tampa Bay offense versus Green Bay defense. We've talked a lot about how I think Green Bay offense versus Tampa Bay defense is going to work in Green Bay's favor. Green Bay defense versus Tampa Bay's offense is a little more even in my mind because the Packers' pass defense is actually the strength of the team. If you're going to say the Packers are better at one area of their defense, it's the secondary, it's the pass rush with Smith and Smith, Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith. They've been great pass rushers for the Packers. They can get pressure up front, and we know that sometimes the Bucs offensive line is vulnerable to giving up sacks and giving up pressures to Tom Brady. Now, they've done 2 weeks in a row good jobs protecting and blocking for Brady against Washington and New Orleans. Both games, Brady not under a lot of pressure in both of those games. Can it continue now here against Green Bay? So, and again, I think the fact that the Packers' strength on defense, if they have a strength, it's the pass defense. It's good against this Tampa Bay team to be able to be stronger against the pass, especially when you're talking about Evans and Godwin and Gronk and all the weapons they have, Antonio Brown. It's good that the Packers are a little bit better in terms of their pass defense going into this game. The concern is, Tampa Bay is probably going to look to run the football. Why not? Because you want to test the area of this Packers defense that is the most vulnerable, and it continues to be their stopping the run, just like it was last year. So to me, from a prop standpoint, as much as we want to look, most bettors, public bettors in the NFL, they're going to want to look to Brady props. They're going to want to look to, Godwin and Evans and some of these great receivers for the Buccaneers. It might be one of those games you look at Leonard Fournette in particular, Ronald Jones, started the season as the starting running back, but he's been limited in practice all week with finger injuries and calf injuries. And, he's also got a quad injury as well. They gave him the ball 13 times. He had 62 yards against New Orleans. But now he's got some new injuries that have hit him following that game, coming out of that game. So it's definitely a game where, from a running back standpoint, it looks like Ronald Jones is trending in a bad direction from a health standpoint going into this game. So with that in mind, I think if you're going to look at something from a prop standpoint in terms of Buccaneers, Leonard Fournette may be the guy to target because I think he's going to end up getting the ball more. He's certainly the healthier running back. He's become more and more of a focal point of the run game lately. He carried the ball more times than Ronald Jones did against the Saints. He rushed 17 times, 63 yards. Maybe you look at Fournette over rushing yards, because I do think there's going to be an onus on Tampa Bay where, even though we got Tom Brady and we got these receivers, we should test the Green Bay run defense, see if it's good. I also want to mention one other thing. It's going to look like Tampa Bay 30 points, great game offensively against New Orleans. But you start to look at the 3 drives that they scored touchdowns on: a 3-yard drive, a 20-yard drive, and a 40-yard drive. All of those possessions started in Saints territory. They didn't necessarily have to, or were forced to, drive the football, move the football down the field, matriculate the ball, if you will, 80, 70, 80 yard. They didn't need to put any of those long drives together because they just feasted on all of these Saints turnovers and turned those into points on short fields. Well, Aaron Rodgers has protected the ball extremely well. He hasn't turned the ball over much. Oddly enough, he's had 5 interceptions all year. 2 of those interceptions for Rodgers came against the Bucs during the regular season meeting. But if you're going to say, he threw 2 interceptions against Tampa Bay in the regular season meeting, it's probably going to happen again. I wouldn't say that's the case. Aaron Rodgers, is just like last week. New Orleans beat Tampa twice. Tampa Bay was the team that went the extra mile to make the corrections, make the adjustments, and try to play a better game against Tampa Bay. And situationally, they were in a much better spot to play against the Saints than they were in the first 2 games when they played in week 1, and Brady's just getting used to his new surroundings. And then in a short week after a Monday night game when they played the Saints in the second regular season game, a lot of intangibles and situationals pointed to Tampa, and they took advantage of it. The situationals and intangibles are against Tampa here because now the shoe is on the other foot. Now it's Green Bay looking back at playing Tampa in the regular season saying, we got to make the corrections. We've got to make the adjustments. Aaron Rodgers looking at himself in the mirror and saying, now I've got to be better throwing the football. I can't throw 2 interceptions against Tampa Bay. And then the team that won the regular season game or games, they rest on their laurels. They get a little bit more complacent. They figure what worked for us in the regular season games are going to work for us again here in the playoffs. And we saw it with Tampa, New Orleans last week. New Orleans figures, hey, we beat them twice in the regular season. We don't have to change anything. It worked. Let's stick to our script and our game plan that worked so well against the Buccaneers in the regular season. It didn't work so well in the playoff game. That's the thing that we've got now in this game. Tampa Bay's thinking, we beat up on Green Bay in the regular season and took advantage of it. And we're good on offense. We moved the ball up and down. And our defense picked off Aaron Rodgers multiple times, shut down a good offense. We don't have to change a whole lot. And sometimes you rest on your laurels and you figure it's going to work once again like it did in the regular season meeting, and it doesn't always work that way. And now it's the Packers going into this game, and Aaron Rodgers, who's as hardworking and motivated as you'll ever get right now. There's no question about that. Making the adjustments and going the extra mile to say, you know what, this didn't work against Tampa Bay. This is what we got to do better. We got to run this route instead of that one. We got to have this coverage on defense instead of that one. Those kind of discussions are going on right now with Green Bay. I think they're the side to look at in this game. Again, these are 2 good football teams. I'm not saying Tampa Bay's incapable of winning this game. They certainly are, but I don't like back-to-back road wins and going on the road again. I mentioned the ATS stats long-term in the conference championship round for teams that won back-to-back road games. It's not good. It's the 3rd straight road game for Tampa Bay. They're playing a Green Bay team that's red hot, just sliced and diced and picked apart a defense that's even better than Tampa Bay's. The price is cheap. The price is short enough. Yeah, I'll lay the 3 here with Green Bay. I think we're going to see Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl. He's had a season good enough to get them to the Super Bowl. And I think you've seen the Packers improve as a football team. You could say earlier in the year that they didn't have a lot receiving outside of Adams. You've seen a bunch of other targets step up. You could have said earlier in the season, Green Bay's defense is really, really a concern. They're definitely better on that side of the ball. They're not great on defense, but they're better than they were earlier this season. I think they've got this. The situation is working in their favor as well going into this game. I think a lot of things add up here for Green Bay. Should be a good game. I think it'll be a close game, but I like Green Bay to get the win and the cover, laying a field goal here against Tampa Bay. As far as the total goes, I'm kind of passing on it. I could see it landing right around 51, honestly. And remember, Tampa Bay, New Orleans, how many points last week? Yeah, 51. It landed right on. I mean, this is going to be probably come close to the 50s. It's just a question of, does it go over? I would probably lean over a little bit. We did see Green Bay and the Rams go over the total, but I like the side more than the total in this one. Let's go to the AFC Championship game now. Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City 3-point home favorites, 54. No 54 and a halves, actually. They're mostly 54s now across the board in this one. If you like Kansas City, wouldn't hurt you to bet it now, because I'm sure we're going to get confirmation later in the week that Patrick Mahomes is going to play. I expect him to play in this game. And if he does, the number is going to go up between now and kickoff. So if you like the Chiefs, just do yourself a favor and get in on the Chiefs now or in the next 24 hours. Because if we get to Friday and Saturday, when we a little bit more clarity in terms of who's in or out for these teams, and we get that confirmation that Patrick Mahomes is going to play, then you know the line is going to go up for sure in this game. This is really tough. Let's start with Buffalo. Buffalo has a pathway to winning this football game. There's no question. We saw what Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier, who combined have 20 years at least of NFL experience coaching defense. You know, Leslie Frazier's a defensive coordinator for a long time, was briefly a Minnesota Vikings head coach as well. Sean McDermott was the defensive coordinator under Ron Rivera in Carolina before he got the job here in Buffalo as the head coach. These two guys can scheme and game plan and get a team ready for on defense. And the job they did to put together that game plan defensively for Buffalo, when everybody was saying, oh, look out, Buffalo can't stop the run. Oh, they're facing Lamar Jackson. Oh, they're facing this vaunted rushing attack of the Baltimore Ravens. How are the Buffalo Bills going to handle it? Well, they handled it pretty damn well, did they not? Holy mackerel. Great performance. It was everything. Like they won battles in the trenches. If you're going to shut down a rush or a run-heavy offense like Baltimore, you got to win one-on-one battles in the trenches. You just have to simply get off blocks and blow up the line of scrimmage. That's how you stop a ground attack like Baltimore's, and they did that throughout that game. They didn't give J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards many holes. Lamar Jackson, they contained the edge. They kept him inside the pocket, and they actually sacked him multiple times. So it was a outstanding defensive game plan, and the execution of it by the Bills, who have been kind of maligned this year at times for their defense not being as good as it's been the last couple of years. They stepped up and they got the job done in this one. Now they're playing a completely different type of offense. Well, not completely, because you've still got Mahomes who can run it, and a Chiefs team that still commits to running the football a little bit as well. But obviously, this is a different animal here for Buffalo's defense, in that there's just much greater pass efficiency and pass explosiveness with Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman. And you go on down the list with the receivers and Travis Kelce, the tight end. I mean, and a team that's going to throw the football a lot. This is going to be a good test for Tre'Davious White as well, because I think I respect the hell out of his game as an elite cornerback in the NFL. He's had a great season for Buffalo. How he's going to be able to defend some of these Kansas City Chiefs receivers, it's going to be fun to watch, and a great matchup there. It's really, Buffalo's defense since their bye week during the regular season has played a lot better. And you could say that was maybe their best game of the season last week against Baltimore. it'll be interesting to see how this one goes here, because we've also seen Kansas City, offensively at times down the stretch of the regular season. Also, in the playoff game against Cleveland last week, look great at times and then kind of sputter a little bit as well. And we're seeing the Chiefs overall down the stretch not really put up some of those gaudy point totals that they have in years past. When I look at it for Buffalo, though, their passing game, if you look at it on the flip side, it's got a really, really good chance to really test this Kansas City secondary, which is very good. And in fact, there's a lot of people that believe that Kansas City is weaker against the run than they are against the pass. There could be some truth to that, because we have seen teams be able to run the football against the Chiefs. I was actually very, very disappointed in the Cleveland Browns that they did not run the ball more. I felt they were throwing the ball far too often on first down last week. It was when it was basically called for Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt to try to run the football, keep themselves in manageable down and distance situations, especially playing a team like Kansas City where they do have some flaws at stopping the run, and the stats bear that out. Yet they threw the ball a lot. I'm not sure that was the wisest move, but is this a game where we maybe see more of Devin Singletary? He's going to have to be the guy for the Buffalo Bills running the football with Zach Moss injured. Devin Singletary gave them some good touches last week, good results when he got the ball, running the football. He caught the ball out of the backfield. To see that out of Devin Singletary, I have a feeling he's going to be not a focal point, but he is going to be part of the game plan for the Bills offense here in this game against the Chiefs. So from a prop standpoint, Devin Singletary, over rushing yards, perhaps maybe over receiving yards, because he did catch some passes out of the backfield last week against the Ravens. I could see them using him in a multitude of different ways here against this Kansas City team. And I still think the Chiefs defense is really good, and they have a really good couple of pass rushers with Chris Jones and Frank Clark. They're outstanding, getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks, no question. The secondary is solid, but Josh Allen is going to, as consistently, especially here in the playoffs, been that guy that, receivers are covered down the field and the pass rush is starting to get home. He has that just incredible ability to get out and make something happen. He has been running the football a lot more in the playoffs. You look at the Indy win and you look at the Baltimore win. Josh Allen was definitely a running quarterback, even more than he was during the regular season. This is going to be one of those instances where Kansas City, is going to have to face they're going to have to face a team that can throw everything at them offensively. And I know they're going to go back and look at Kansas City against Baltimore when they won that game, and they have played their best football against the best teams they've played. There's no question. That is something you have to take into consideration here when looking at this game. Kansas City, when it's step-up time, when it's time to play the Ravens, and it's time to play the Saints, and it's time to play some of the best teams we've played this year, that's often when you've seen Kansas City play their best football, which worries me a little bit for Buffalo here in this game. But for one of the few times, like you look at the Baltimore game and what Kansas City's defense faced in that game, you got a great running attack, but very, very shaky passing game. That's not the case here. When you look at New Orleans, good running game, solid short to intermediate passing game, but you're not going to get tested with the deep ball by Drew Brees and the Saints. The Chiefs are going to get tested in this game by that. See, the Chiefs are going to have to defend against a mobile quarterback, a decent enough ground game that can keep the defenses honest, a slew of wide receivers, Diggs, Beasley, John Brown, Gabe Davis, go on down the list for the Bills, and a quarterback that can run. So basically, for one of the few times all year, Kansas City's facing an offense that can do a little bit of everything, that can run the football, throw the football, short to intermediate and deep. Josh Allen can throw it in all three levels of the football field. They've got the mobile quarterback element. They run the football at least a little bit. So, and there haven't been many offenses on Kansas City's schedule this year that they've faced that have all of these different ways they can beat you. So it's going to be a challenge for them. As you can tell, I'm leaning to the Buffalo Bills here. I am. I don't like that Kansas City continues to be a point spread failure. It is an unbelievable run for point spread failures for the Kansas City Chiefs. They have been an overvalued commodity for a very long time. And you're seeing that as well going into this game here, where Kansas City, since November 1st, 0-8-1 against the spread. All right? 0-8-1 against the spread for the Kansas City Chiefs since November the 1st. That being said, here's the problem with taking that stat into as much consideration here. How many of those times has Kansas City only been laying 3 at home? Not many. A lot of these games, they've been laying 6, they've been laying 7, they've been double-digit favorites in a lot of those games. They're only laying a field goal here against Buffalo. So we are seeing a point spread adjustment here. And I think some respect for Buffalo after the impressive win last week against the Ravens. So, you look at it, and this is another game, too. Kansas City beat Buffalo. It's a regular season rematch. Kansas City dominated Buffalo in the regular season meeting, 466-206, 245 yards rushing on the ground in that game. And another thing that bothers me, too, is Kansas City was 5.5-point road favorites in Buffalo during the regular season game. Now they're 3-point favorites at home. So it sure smells like value in the point spread with Kansas City. That's why this is tough, because I think matchup-wise, Buffalo can be right in this game, take it down to the wire. Even with Mahomes playing, they can be competitive in this game, and they, I think, honestly have a chance to win it. But you look at this Chiefs team, again, they're only laying 3. I know they haven't covered a number in 9 games, but they haven't been laying a cheap number like -3 in any of those games, or hardly any other than the New Orleans game, but that was on the road. And you look at their results against winning teams this year, 6-0 straight up, Chiefs undefeated, facing teams with a winning record this year. So I think the matchups are good for Buffalo. Buffalo in a teaser is probably pretty good because you could get Buffalo up to +9 on a 6-point teaser. The problem is, I don't know what you put the other leg of the teaser with. Green Bay, I think, beats Tampa Bay, and I think they can cover laying 3. But from a teaser standpoint, it doesn't make sense. You take Green Bay from -3 to +3. That's not the teaser strategy I like to employ. I like to go with the favorites above a touchdown, tease them down below a field goal, or the underdogs below a field goal, tease them up above a touchdown. Those are the teaser principles that I like to use, and you can't do that with Green Bay. So, yeah, I think the Bills are a good teaser piece, but what the hell is going to be the other part of that teaser? That's my conundrum. That's my dilemma here going into Conference Championship Sunday. So I would probably, if you want to find a way to put the Bills in a teaser, I would say it's a good teaser piece, but I just don't know if there's another good piece to put with it. So right now what I'm planning to do is I'm going to wait it out, because I know Mahomes is probably going to play, and I know if he does play and the confirmation is announced, the number is going to go up a little bit. I don't know how much, but I know it won't be 3. It will not be -3 if Mahomes is playing. It'll go up to at least -3.5 or maybe even -4. And then I'll wait it out, and I'll see if I can grab Buffalo at a better number. I think that's probably the way I'm going to go with the side in this game. From a totals perspective, the temperature keeps dropping. It looks like it's going to be colder than expected in Kansas City, and this will be a night game as well. This is the late game on Sunday. So I understand there's some people liking the under, but I'm going to wait also to see Mahomes. How's he look in practice? Is he moving around well? Is he looking solid? If he is, I'm kind of looking over the total in this game. Let's not forget, I think people see Buffalo-Baltimore was just such a low-scoring, grinded-out type of game. The offenses didn't fire. Well, it was a bad wind night in Buffalo. The wind was whipping around that stadium. It's in the middle of nowhere. I've been to Bills Stadium in Buffalo before for games. That is a stadium that is located in the middle of nowhere. And when it is a windy night, like it was for that Baltimore-Buffalo game last Sunday, the winds are whipping around the stadium. They're crosswinds that are going in that direction rather than that direction, and it really messes up the passing game. And we saw that. Josh Allen was sailing passes down the field, missing throws he normally makes. And I think part of that was the wind being what it was. Heavy wind in Buffalo last Sunday. Looks like in Kansas City, the winds are only going to be around 10 miles per hour. So wind is not going to be that factor. As of right now in Kansas City for Sunday night in the AFC Championship that it was for Buffalo-Baltimore last week. So I'm looking right now at points in this game. Again, people are going to just say, you know what, Baltimore-Buffalo was a dead under last week. Kansas City-Cleveland stayed under last week as well. Don't forget that. Kansas City-Cleveland, that total was high as well, 57. It didn't even come close to that. Stayed well under the total. People are going to see Bills played an under, Chiefs played an under last week. Let's bet this game under. I'm going to pump the brakes on that. And just like with the Buffalo side, no rush to bet the over. It's been under money this week, and it continues to be under money. This opened 56. It's down to 54 now in most spots. There's no need to pump. There's no need to rush here. And it's, sometimes patience is a virtue. That's that old saying. Sometimes good things come to those who wait. Well, I think good things will come to those who wait if you like Buffalo and you like the over, because you're going to get a better number with both, I think, later in the week, closer to Sunday. So to me, I would look Buffalo, and I definitely will be on the over in this game. I'm just going to wait it out, see if we get even below 54. I do see 53.5 in a couple spots. So that makes me think this total could creep down even more. And again, Bills played under last week. Chiefs played under last week. I'm sure that has something to do with it. But let's not forget Cleveland, Kansas City. Where was that number? 57, and it stayed under. I get it. But now you're going to get 54, and you might even get 53.5, 53 if this total continues to drop by the time the game starts on Sunday. So you're going to get better number this week. And let's be honest, Buffalo's got explosiveness offensively that, I really, really think the wind hampered Buffalo's offense last week. If you watch that game, you knew it was difficult conditions to kick, difficult conditions to throw the football. It looks like you're not going to have that in Kansas City on Sunday. So I'm leaning Bills. I'm leaning over the total right now when it comes to the Bills and the Chiefs. Razor Sharp, welcome in. He's got a good question. Line would have to move to 4.5 if he's confirmed in. I don't know if it'll get that high because I think people are going to see how Buffalo's played. It's going to move up. It won't be 3. It'll be 3, and I think it'll settle in around 4. I could see it. It'll move a half point. I think it could even move a full point. I think there's going to be some resistance because the initial pack of bettors, Razor Sharp, took Buffalo. It opened 4, Kansas City, and immediately got bet down to 3. So if this goes up to 3.5, 4, which it will, in my opinion, when they announce that Mahomes is going to play, public will roll in on Kansas City. There's going to be, I think, some buyback if it were to get to 4 or a 4.5. Certainly if it gets to a 4.5, that Buffalo side is getting hit. If it ever gets back to 4.5, in my opinion, because there was a gaggle of bettors that immediately bet the Bills when this line opened. And some of those people may want to bet a little more Buffalo if they see a 4.5 again, closer to kickoff on Sunday. So again, I think it's going to go up to 3.5, maybe even 4 once Mahomes is confirmed in on Kansas City. But if it gets to 4 or 4.5 even, you're going to see it probably bounce back down again, because I think there's a group of people out there that have made a case for Buffalo. Because if you look at the line movement early in the week, you saw Buffalo immediately take the early money. And I think that there's definitely a sentiment out there amongst a group of bettors out there. Not that they're in the same group, but I'm just saying in general, there are bettors out there that think Buffalo's live in this game. Because clearly they think that because they took out the 4s, they took out the 3.5s on Buffalo when this line first opened and bet it down to 3. And I think they'll do that if it goes back up to 4, 4.5 on Kansas City. And again, I would expect it to at least get to 3.5, 4 on Kansas City later this week once they announce that Patrick Mahomes is going to play for the Chiefs. All right, so there we go. That is your look at the conference championship games on Sunday. We don't have many Football Frenzy shows left. We're taking a look at it. Let me just see. Yes, Thursday, February 4th is the next show that we're going to do here on Pub Sports Radio with Ian Cameron's Football Frenzy. Thursday, February 4th will be our Super Bowl Frenzy edition, and it will be a frenzy. We'll look at the side. We'll look at the total. We'll look at all the props, and we should have them. We will have them definitely by then. It'll only be 3 days before the game. Player props, cross-sport props. We will talk about all of it in 2 weeks from now on the next edition of Ian Cameron's Football Frenzy, Thursday, February 4th, Super Bowl edition, and also the season finale of Ian Cameron's Football Frenzy. That'll be the last show for the season. I've enjoyed it. Again, thanks to the people at Pub Sports Radio that allow me to be on the channel and do this show every Thursday, as well as doing the NBA show, the college basketball show, the NFL and college football shows we did as well, the NHL Play of the Day videos that I've been doing. Pub Sports Radio is, lots of great content, especially from a sports standpoint. We've got live UFC shows with Boston Nick, Mo, and the UFC crew. We've got Razor Sharp, and I tuned in finally. I said, Dennis, Razor Sharp, I said I'm going to tune in one of these nights to your live horse show, and I did finally do that last night. You and Gas Station and Tom and everybody, and Ed. That guy's a character, that Ed guy that was on the show last night. I like his style. He was pretty funny. He made me chuckle a few times, but good stuff with the horses last night. They're on again tonight with the horse racing. So make sure you check out Razor Sharp and everybody associated with the horse racing live content here on Pub Sports Radio. They'll be back on the air with that tonight as well. So thanks for tuning in again, not only today, but all season. I appreciate the feedback and the kind words when it comes to Ian Cameron's Football Frenzy. I'm certainly excited for Conference Championship Sunday. Hopefully you guys are as well. Just to recap, I like Green Bay -3. Even at 3.5, I think it's worth the bet. And I'm leaning Buffalo, and I'm leaning over. I like the over more than I like Buffalo, to be honest with you, because to me, Kansas City, -3 is at home for them is very, very cheap, even though they haven't covered a point spread in 9. Again, they haven't been -3 during any of those games at home. They haven't been -3 during that 9-game ATS losing streak that they're on. But again, I think Buffalo can hang in this game. So I lean Buffalo. I do like the over, though. I think we'll see points. Both teams stayed under. I think both offenses moved the ball Sunday night in that one. So that's what I'm looking at from a betting standpoint with Conference Championship Sunday. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. I appreciate it. I'll be back this afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, with the college basketball closing time show. Connor Mack and I will break down the Thursday college basketball card. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend, guys. Enjoy Conference Championship Sunday. Cash some tickets. Enjoy the games and good luck. And I'll see you again in 2 weeks, Thursday, February 4th, for the Super Bowl edition of Pub Sports Radio, Ian Cameron's Football Frenzy.